And I'm color coding the second factor today because it's the second factor that I'm concerned about today. So we're going to draw a rectangle. Step 2, and I'm drawing this much smaller than the rectangle I'll actually use. I'm just trying to save space. Write each factor in expanded form and one is going to be on top. So one on top and one on the side. So that's step 2. And so, as I said, I'm doing this so that your parents, if someone is trying to help you, they can see the full progression of what we're doing in your notes or even in this video. And I just say this because this is where the math is about to start getting challenging. And I want you guys to have something that you can show to your parent or older sibling or your tutor or whoever might be helping you. So both of these are being written on the side. Now notice the second factor, I flipped it. Instead of writing it like this, instead of writing it where I put the 40 at the top, because 42 in expanded form is 40 plus 2, notice I flipped it and I wrote the 40 at the bottom of the rectangle. This is important because we need to make sure that our partial products for each row matches what we would see in the standard algorithm of multiplication. And you guys will see what I'm talking about definitely tomorrow, okay? So I want you to flip this, and instead of writing 40 plus 2 going that way, I want you to write whatever that first part of your expanded form is. I want you to write it at the bottom and work your way up so that it will match. Like I said, I might be able to show you guys. For those of you who are Y people, because I feel like I've got some Y people in here who need to understand why or how things work. When we multiply in a standard algorithm, we always start with the digit in the ones place. So we would start multiplying by 2. So because we would start multiplying by 2, we would end up with these numbers right here as our first row of partial products. So when we do this in the area model, if we flip it and we write the 2 at the top and the 40 at the bottom, then our numbers will match, which then means if you're a student that has a hard time with standard algorithm and area model becomes your thing, you can use it to answer a standard algorithm question and get it right. Okay? And like I said, you'll understand more, but I did want to show y'all that. So step 3, we are going to, all right, I didn't mean to put that right there. Sorry. Draw. No one can see. I'm sorry, you guys. So we're going to draw lines from each plus sign to its opposite side. So this is important because what one mistake I see a lot of students make is that they'll set this up, they'll draw the rectangle, and then they'll just start drawing lines. And they end up with something that could look like this. Bless you. When what we need to do is allow the plus signs to tell us what lines to draw and where to draw them, not what we think we need to draw. You'll see what I mean. So my plus signs are here. So I'm drawing a line from that plus side to the opposite side. And I'm doing the same thing here. So yesterday our area models just had vertical lines, which go up and down. Today our area model has one horizontal line because we have two digits in the number that's on the side, which means we have two numbers in our expanded form. And I know I'm moving slowly, but ugh, this is these two things, flipping and drawing those lines based on the plus sign is really important. Next, set up some. Next, we have step 4. We are multiplying everything. On the top row, by the numbers on the side. So this is the last rectangle, I promise. I think. Let me stop lying. So we're multiplying everything by these numbers on the top row. I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. Make sure we can really see what's happening because I made that rectangle kind of small. All right. So what I suggest is when you get to this step, you write each one of those mini facts in each little square to make sure you give yourself something visual that you can look back at, that you can check before you move on to the next step. So I had some students in my first class make a lot of unnecessary mistakes because they chose to skip this step. So everything on this top row gets multiplied by 2, which means I'm writing the facts inside of the box based on that so I don't make any mistakes that I can't go back and track. Because if you do it all in your head and you make a mistake, you're not going to know what you did wrong. Okay? And so now we apply the skills that I taught in lesson 1 and 2 from topic 1 and lesson 1 and 2 from this topic. Non-zero digits, that's 4. Count the zeros, write the zeros. Non-zero digits, that's 6. Count the 0, write the 0. Non-zero digits, that's 8. And then I'll move on to the next row. So now I'm multiplying everything up here by 40. And I'm going to take my time and write the facts so that I can go back and check behind myself if something starts not looking right. Okay, so 4 times 40. And this is where, again, like I said, I see the most common mistakes. So 2 times 4 is 8. Make sure you count the zeros in both factors. Don't forget the other factor. 3 times 4 is 12. Count these zeros, write the zeros. 4 times 4 is 16. Count the 0, write the 0. And before I go on with step 5, and y'all know what step 5 is, we got to add all this stuff up like we did yesterday. I'm going to go back and check my partial products and make sure I have them right. And the question I'm asking myself, Jaquil, did you actually multiply this stuff right? Jaquil, did you count the zeros and write the zeros? Okay, Jaquil, that's my first name. That's me. But this is my internal dialogue. This is what I am thinking about when I'm doing work. I'm literally talking to myself because I know the mistakes that I make. So I have these conversations in my head. I do the same thing every time I leave my house. Shaquille, did you turn off the stove? Did you lock the door? These are things I ask myself because I know what kind of mistakes I make. As mathematicians, you have to know what kind of mistakes you make or common mistakes so you can look out for them. Okay? Because they happen. So step 5, add the partial products together. Add partial products. And I need you to do this in a very specific way. Add row 1 first, add row 2 next, add 1 and 2. That's the order. If you stack them all up, that's a problem for 2 reasons. You are likely to make a mistake trying to add those 6 numbers together. Not everybody will, but most of us will. So then that'll keep you from getting the right answer. But also, for the sake of what we discussed here, you want these things, you want your rows of partial products to look just like what they would look like in the standard algorithm of multiplication. So you can always use the area model to help you with that if you get a question like that, but that's just not your strategy. Like you have a hard time with it. Then you do the area model in a way where they match so then you could just transfer the numbers over to that problem. So that's what I'm going to that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to add these together. So I'm adding row 1, 400 plus 60 plus 8. Again, remembering I'm lining everything up to the back, okay? Not the front. Then I'm going to add the second row. 8,000 plus 1,200 plus 160. Before I do another thing, I'm going to do what I did in step 4. I'm going to go back and make sure my math is right. That's 8, that's 6, that's 4, that's 0, that's 6, that's 3, that's 9. And now that I have my 2 main partial products, I can add them together. And I'm ready to go. But before I do that, I'm going to check my work. Bless you. I'm going to check my work. So 8, 12, 2 carry 1. That's 8, that's 9. And just, for good measure, I'm going to do a rough estimate of the problem just to make sure my answer is reasonable. So my original problem was 234 times 42. And I'm going to estimate that 2 ways because I can. So 200 times 40, which will equal 8,000. Pretty close, but I'm going to make sure I'm on my game. And I'm going to estimate this to the nearest 10 to get even closer, even though it's going to make me do more math than I want to do, but it's okay. 230 times 40. And I know that this is going to be, I can break it up. Now I'm really making y'all do way more work than you need to. Never mind, let's not do that. Let's just leave it at that. And so 8,982 do seem like they are very different numbers. But when you account for the fact that you have to multiply 34, 42 times to get the rest of that, I can understand how we would go up another 1,000. Okay. Um, but this estimating piece is really important because I had students leaving out zeros and they should have had products that were in the thousands, but they had products that were in the hundreds. And so just doing a quick estimate in your head will help you say, wait, that's completely unreasonable. I must have made a mistake. So while we're doing this, I also want us to be embracing the fact that we are whole human beings and we can make a mistake. So we need to be looking for it so that when we take the test, we are skilled. We've got 2 weeks of practice of looking for mistakes, learning who we are in this skill so that when you take the test, you can pass it. Okay? Because that's what this is about. So really quickly, I'm going to do this in the standard algorithm right by the area model so you can see what I'm talking about. I think it's important. And for my students, because some of y'all are going to go straight to the standard algorithm and you're never going to come back to area model unless you have a problem that makes you do it that way. And that's fine. But you still need to know what stuff looks like. Okay. So that first row and this row, they match. And then I'm going to multiply this second row of numbers and you'll see that it matches in the standard algorithm. So this 4, the value of that 4 is what? The value of that 4? It's in the tens place. The value is 40. Thank you. I think that was whoever said that. Thank you. The value is 40. So there is 1 0 and 40. So before I do anything, I write 1 0 right here. That's like count the 0, write the 0. Now, Ariel, whatever that is in your hand is super adorable. I just saw you holding it, so I didn't say much about it. But now it's in front of your face when you should be looking at the board. So please put it down, okay? All right, so I wrote the 0 here first because the value of this 4 is 40. And then I'm going to treat this like this is just 4 and multiply everything above it by 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. Write the 6, carry the 1. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Write the 3, carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. And if you notice, my second row of partial products matches this row that I got from the area model. So if you didn't know how to do this, if this is not your strategy, you literally could solve this in the area model. And what they do in those problems is that they give you blanks and they want you to fill in the partial products. And so then you can fill in the partial product with the numbers you got from the area model. And then, of course, the answer is going to be exactly the same because we are working with the same numbers. Okay, so these are the two main strategies, and we'll be learning this one, I think, tomorrow or the day after. All right, that's what we're doing today. So you guys get